Hey guys, so this is not your normal quarter life crisis podcast. Me and Chris are trialing something, aren't we?
Yeah.
Bit of a pilot or something. So obviously, as you know, me and Chris are actors and writers. Well, yeah, both of us are, and we'll get into that in a sec. So what we thought we'd do is just try and read some. It came from an idea the other day, didn't it? We were sat on our balcony having a drink, and we were talking about some of the stuff that we'd written. And
If you had a balcony, you'd be doing the same, but you don't.
Yeah.
So, shit one.
eat that, dogs. Yes, we decided to start going through some work with each other, and just thought that it'd be a good idea to see what you guys thought. So if you're watching this, message us or comment on the video and tell us whether you like it or not. If it's shit, tell us it's shit. Don't be mean though.
Yeah, don't.
So I've got. So what's happened is Chris has got some stuff that he wants me to read out, and I've got some stuff I want Chris to read out. Just because we've never really heard our work be read out before, have we?
No, I haven't. So yeah, be. Nice
I think once I've only ever heard a monologue that I wrote, and it was for a guy called Elliot, brilliant actor at the Arden, and he asked me if he could use a monologue that I'd written, and he did it better than me, and I'm not ashamed to say it. Like he did it with such conviction. It was ace. The first one I've got that I wanted to read you. You haven't heard this one yet.
Okay.
But I wrote it at the back end of 2018, so we'd have been in uni, and and I was skint basically. And
Yep.
I was thinking of how I could earn money, so I decided to write this. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it. I've just donated sperm for the first time, and I'm not too sure how I feel about it. I feel dizzy. I've just spent 15 minutes wanking into a bit of Tupperware and handed it to some woman in exchange for 35 quid. Fuck me. I feel guilty. Have I just sold my kid for 35 quid? Shit. I felt fine about it when I went in. Thought that it was a nice little earner. Easiest 35 quid I've ever made, and they couldn't thank me enough in the clinic. So grateful. Told me that if I went back, I'd get another 35 quid. She said that you can donate up to 20 times. That's 700 quid. I've been doing this for years, for fuck all. It's really scary, you know. Someone's going to have my kid. A person will biologically be mine. It's kind of a nice thought, but... Hang on, sorry. It's kind of a nice thought at the same time. I think how happy it's going to make somebody. Someone can start a family, maybe a family that they've always dreamed of because of me. Kind of feel a bit of pressure that everything's going to be all right with it. That it's not going to turn out to be a fucking serial killer or something, but it's just a bit mad that someone's going to have a kid and half of it will biologically be mine and I'll never know anything about it. Wonder what it's going to be like. And that's it.
Very good.
It's I was skint in uni and I was looking at ways that you can make money on some online forum.
35 quid right now? 35 quid a pop?
35 quid a pop,
Pardon
mate.
the pun.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's another joke of mine you've just stolen. I was like, where have I heard that before?
Why? Well,
The party popper thing. And I was going to pop a massive party popper in someone's house. And they said, you fucking won't. That's £35 a pop if you'll pardon the pun. Or like a tenner a pop, £15 a pop if you'll pardon the pun, or whatever it was.
Much it is. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, it was really good. It was, it's a mad concept. Like, I would never even, I'm not saying I would never consider, like, donating sperm, but, like, you don't really think about it as much as that person has. No.
Well, and it's something that I would genuinely love to do. And at the time, yes, I was skint.
Like getting paid for a wank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even in that, it's the nice idea behind it as well, that somebody's, someone or a family who maybe can't have kids, or somebody who's on their own who decides that they want a child. It's the way to do things, I suppose.
Yeah.
But after I thought about doing it, I seen on the website that they said that you've got to get blood tested, and I'm scared of needles, and that was literally the only thing that put me off.
You wouldn't get a needle for 35 quid?
No, I wouldn't. Not one, because with blood tests, they always look like...
How much money, then?
What, for a needle? Well, obviously with the vaccine and stuff, I'll do that for free.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But that's mad.
Yeah.
And you won't do it for 35 quid? I understand getting blood's different.
It's the blood. I'm scared of blood. So it's the thought of looking and seeing like a tube with my blood coming out of my body. Like
Don't look.
What?
Don't look.
I know, but I've always got this overwhelming fear that I'll be able to feel it. Do you know, like that there's some form of power in blood?
Yeah, I would assume. I've never done it.
Sucking out of your body and just feeling like, oh, do you know, like I'm being drained? I'd pass out.
Yeah, fair.
I know I would.
I've never done it. Giving blood or anyone's taking blood. Yeah, I really liked that one. That was good.
It's a very different style to, I'd say, what I write now. This was early days me writing. That's why I chose to do it first. But it's something that I've never. It's a person. I've never put him. Obviously, it's a fella, but I've never put him in any situation. I've never gone, oh, this is. It's going to be a play. This, do you know what I mean? It was a standalone monologue that I was bored one day and I wrote and thought that it sounded like a bit of fun. But like you say, it's an interesting thought. It was upon thinking about doing it that I then thought about. My train of thought went to the other things. Do you know what I mean? Of going, oh, this is actually a great. Imagine if I have a kid and in fucking 30 years' time it's on the news and he's a serial killer or he's shot up a school or something. I don't know why I'm constantly thinking it's a he.
Yeah.
But they were genuine, not fears, but things that food for thought. Do you know what I mean?
I've always thought about like how like surrogate mothers feel.
Yeah.
Because that's very different.
Yeah. There's a much more of an emotional connection there.
Similar feelings, but you're actually holding the baby for 9 months.
Yeah.
Like it's living off you, like a.
Yeah, it's a literal part of you. It's grown with
and then you just give it away.
Just going to add on that, my sister has given birth to my niece Luna. Yeah. She's gorgeous, and she's 9 weeks old yesterday. And
happy 9 weeks.
Happy 9 weeks old, Luna.
Yeah.
But Kaylee going through that pregnancy. And seeing like Kaylee's quite petite, Kaylee's quite small, and then she obviously had this massive bump because she's got a baby growing inside her, and then she won't mind me saying, but she had to have a C-section. And I remember speaking to Josh, her fiance, Luna's dad, after he'd come back from the hospital because of COVID, he couldn't stay with them for too long and stuff, and him just explaining this whole thing. Like Katie FaceTimed us not long after Luna had been delivered. And she was fine. She was on FaceTime, like, hi, are you okay? She's just undergone, like, massive surgery. Yeah. Like, I was reading a thing about them comparing it to, like, heart surgery and being like, no, a C-section, there's a lot more things that can get complicated with it. And she's just, like, fine. She was, like, driving with him 4 weeks after having her and stuff, and just sort of bounced back and started being a mum. And I was just like, when it's your parents, I don't think you realise at a young age, or maybe even at our age now, until you see it happening. And I suppose it's tenfold when it's your partner who's just had a kid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad to think, but like those feelings of like, if like say your partner is having a baby and you know you're going to be a dad and stuff like that. Yeah. Imagine like you've written here, like there is a baby that is half yours,
and you're fully responsible for it.
No. In your piece.
Oh right, okay.
You're not fully responsible for it. You have nothing to do with it. You're unaware of its existence.
Yeah. And then I would often, like, I thought about this. Imagine if I decided I didn't want children when I grew older. I would then have a child that wasn't mine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was just...
Yeah. Do you ever think, like, the kids born that way would be curious as to know who their biological father is?
On the form, when you do it, you can decide whether you want to be contacted when the child's old enough or not. And I think I'd have to. I'd be too...
curious.
Too curious.
Fair enough.
I would. Should we go on to the next one?
Yeah, what do you want to do next? Do you want me to read yours?
Whatever you want, mate.
Yeah, okay. Do you have it in front of you?
The one that I sent you?
Arden New Riders?
No.
Okay. No, it's fine. I'll read the stage directions and then I'll read it.
Okay.
Michael stands at the podium and looks out at the packed church. There is screeches of interference into the microphone as he adjusts it. He nervously unfolds a piece of paper from his pocket. Kim was a mother, an amazing mother to our two beautiful little girls, who she loved dearly and would have given the world. And one thing that breaks my heart is knowing that she won't be able to watch our little babies grow. And to know that they won't have the pleasure of getting to know their mother quite like some of us did here today. Kim was an effervescent, vivacious soul with a smile that could light up a room. A smile that held the light to my life for such a short space of time. The first time I met Kim, we were in a bar. She was working till 11. I'd been in there since 6, absolutely begging this girl to let me buy her a drink. She told me she didn't drink on the job and agreed that if I stayed until the end of her shift, she'd stay for a drink with me. She was a woman of her word. She closed up the bar and we drank into the early hours. We shared laughs, tears, embarrassing stories. And that night, I knew when I first saw her, it took every ounce of me not to snot the face off her. When I saw her laugh, it took every ounce of me not to fall in love with her. When I saw her soul, it took every ounce of me. That night in the bar, Kim asked me what my favourite colour was. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be honest with you. I never had a favourite colour. Until she shouted out yellow. She was so excited and that smile. So I told her she was right. And I don't know if I've looked at yellow the same way since. Now there's a little bit of yellow in everything that I do. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to listen to my stories of myself and the woman we love so dearly. If there's anything I'd like you to do for me today, it's to remember that today isn't about celebrating a beautiful life. A life of no regrets. A life full of love and laughter. And to be thankful that we were graced to have shared the time we have with Kim. I love you, babe.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is acting. That's it. It's really strange hearing you read that out. I've only ever read it in my head. I don't think I've read it out.
I've never read
myself.
it before. It's very good, mate.
You've never read it before. And that I entered a thing, sort of like a competition with our old drama school to be one of the writers who could write for a very talented year group, Showcase or Fringe, one of the two.
One of the two.
And I sort of sat and pondered, and I had different ideas and stuff that I'd started and thought, oh, I'll just leave that be, and thought, oh, maybe I should revisit them. And I don't know where that idea came from. Now I'm thinking about it, upon you reading it, I don't know where the initial spark of going, oh, I'm going to write this. Do you know what I mean? But I spent, I'd say, about 3 days thinking about this fella, because it had been, like, that's the final draft. It had been rewritten 4 or 5 times, because I'd put little bits in there and go, that doesn't really make sense, or I should take that out. I just wanted the goodness. Do you know what I mean? The things that people are going to want to hear. And yeah, I don't know. Like, I was happy with it when I sent it off. It's not my usual style. I quite like writing comedy. So to write something that was relatively hard hitting, and it's interesting hearing you read it back to me, because I remember the process that I went through upon writing it. Like, some things in there would be taken from a line in a quote that I would like, that sparks a thought. That, like, I don't know, someone might read you a quote, nice guys finish last. And that provokes a thought in your head, and you go, actually, when you break that down, you think about, nice guys, you could, you know, and you turn it into something more. And the line is in there, but it becomes something much more than that.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the quote that it was that I read. That I was on Instagram, maybe I follow some poets on Instagram, and I read a line of something that this guy had written. That's actually a really interesting thought, and it had nothing to do with grievance or anything like that, or anybody dying or being a parent, but it sparked this train of thought. Did you like it?
I really liked it.
Tell me you liked it.
I did. Well done. It's very it's weird. Like, I've been to a lot of funerals, and a lot of people in Belfast call me mahogany shouldered. So I'm always carrying a coffin.
One of the first times I met you, our friend Kieran McCourt, one of the first things he said was, do you know Chris loves funerals? And I was what do you mean?
I don't love funerals. It just so happens I've been to a number of them, and I'm very lucky in that I'd say 2 or 3 have been like close family members.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's just people I have known or know of, and
a friend of mine. Pay respects to. It's not, you don't feel obliged to be there, sort of thing.
No, and it's interesting because a lot of the time at a funeral, you're not really given the opportunity to do a speech, especially in the Catholic Church. They're bastards, like they won't let you give like a personal speech about the person. The priest kind of does it all.
Really?
Yeah, but if you are getting cremated, you would have the mass, and then you would go to the crematorium.
And at the crem is where you can...
And have like a service, and there is where family members can kind of tell their stories, and you would have like one person, but I've never heard the partner of the person who's died talk about them.
Really?
Yeah, you ever seen Love Actually when Liam Neeson's wife dies?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Like this is in a similar vein, like talking about her.
Yeah.
But all I've ever had is like a son talking about a mother or something like that.
Yeah.
It's never been...
Which is interesting. Which is interesting because they're very different very different ways of speaking. We've spoke before now about death and what happens after you die, and how is it a very common thing in Belfast to have cremations?
It's
50-50.
40.
Okay, fair. Yeah, because I've thought about it a lot. Like, I've been fortunate enough to not go to too many funerals because they're not nice things, but the ones that I have been to in a church, I'm not a religious person, but there's kind of a sense of like, it feels a bit overpowering. There's too much going on to appreciate what is actually going on, because it seems to me bogged down by prayers and things that maybe this person didn't care all that much about, but that's brought into it, and I feel like it takes away from why you're there. But I've been to cremations, and I always used to say...
It's a lot more personal.
Yes, I always used to say, oh no, I'd hate to be cremated. But once you get over to the fact that once you're gone, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Going to a cremation and being part of that ceremony is so nice. But I've been fortunate enough that when I've gone to these funerals, they've been people who are older and who've lived a good life.
Yeah.
And it's still very sad, but it's more accepted.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hearing people share stories in the crematorium about the life that this person's lived, they've not been religious funerals that I've been to when they've been at a crematorium. And that's really nice, because it would be people doing that. That's a very sad monologue, because it's a guy talking about the mother to his children, the love of his life.
Yeah.
But it's like, you share laughs there, and it is, for want of a better term, it's a celebration of life. You talk about this person's life, and you play the music that they loved, and sometimes you can sing along if you want. Whereas in a church, if All Things Bright and Beautiful is lovely, and I think it's beautiful, but you couldn't imagine everyone does sing it, but it's not got the same hit as Highway to Hell. Do you know what I mean? It's that, which is a little bit more acceptable if you're in a creme, maybe.
Yeah, fair. I know what you mean. Okay, do you want to read my one?
You sent me. Yes,
okay,
I do.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I've just had this. Just as we started, Chris said, I want you to read something of mine. Chris doesn't deem himself as a writer, but upon the things that he has done,
I wrote that what you're about to read, I wrote it like a couple of weeks ago.
Okay,
so for a girl, so I've kind of just changed it for a boy because you're reading it.
Okay, so, brilliant. So it's relatively fresh.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
It came out of nowhere.
It
was a random one.
All right, we'll go. I never understood why postmen hate... Nope, let's start that again.
Postmen love dogs.
I'm severely dyslexic, and we'll put a link at the bottom of the screen that you can donate to help me through my struggles. I never understood why dogs hate postmen. It's like a universal thing. All dogs hate postmen. It's like a rite of passage into doghood. To have such disdain and anger towards a person for no reason. Maybe it's because of their occupation, or the colour of their uniform, or the disturbance in the letterbox. I couldn't grasp the notion of this unconditional hatred. Then I met him. And he looked normal. Average height. Not ugly, but definitely not a fucking oil painting. He was the epitome of... I felt such indifference to him. He was irrelevant, just another fella at another stupid high school party. Claire suggested that we play spin the bottle to determine which two got to climb into the wardrobe for 7 minutes in heaven. She promised that it was just to liven up the party. A bit. And she wouldn't play if it landed on her. And I believed her. Then the bottle landed on me and one of the girls from maths club. Disgusting. I abstained, obviously. Then they spin and it lands on Claire and this meh fella. And without a second thought, they climb into the wardrobe and the timer was started. Rumour has it, she's pregnant and it's his kid. When I heard that, I started to understand it. Dogs hate postmen because they are girlfriend-stealing bastards who, given any sign of affection, will shag the nearest thing to them. Dogs are clever. I should have barked at that bastard. Dogs are clever. I should have barked that bastard back to where he came from before he got his hands on my girl. And they'll both regret those 7 minutes in heaven. You mark my words. It's a very good monologue, that. I really like it.
It's bad as fuck.
It is mad, but it's its thing within its own right. Do you know what I mean? If there's a story, it doesn't even need a story around it. You know, this fella has got a girlfriend. They're at a party, and she's gone, he looks a bit of all right. Should we all play spin the bottle? Don't worry, babe, I won't play. Do you know what I mean? We've all been in similar situations to that, where you sort of go, I don't trust her, but I'm going to trust her. Go on, you can...
Yeah. I wrote that in a minute. In a minute. So I literally just went, done. Sent it to who I was sending it to. I was like, can you read this for me? It was a girl. So it was written a little bit differently. Blah, blah. And it sounded all right. It was just one of them things. I never really take my writing seriously.
Okay.
I like, because I'm never like a monologue like that. I don't believe in it enough to write anything else to do with it. It's like whatever. And I never normally do write monologues.
Why? We'll get onto it after the next one. But because what I was going to say is because you've written a full length play, which is brilliant, and I've been around to see a lot of the growth of it when it started and where it's ended up. Like I say, we'll go into that in a bit. But why do you? I do it as well. But why do you write monologues and just go, oh, there's a monologue. I'm just going to leave that where it is.
Do you know why? The main reason why I wrote this one is because while writing the play, I wrote the play because I'm writing a play. That's it.
Right.
It wasn't like I'm going to write something and maybe it'll turn into a play. I was writing a play because I set myself the task of writing a play.
Okay.
And I did it, which is really good and buzzing about it. But what I realized was like there was a few monologues that I had written with no context that would work very well in the play. And they were written in such a way that is more poetic than I would maybe write for the play, because the play is very matter-of-fact storytelling, blah, blah, blah. And then some of the monologues that I've written separately that I'm like just thoughts in my head actually work very well in that context. So I've been able to slot them in.
Yeah.
And I think it maybe adds to my play. I think it maybe makes it a bit better and has more 3 dimensions to it. So it that came about, that specific monologue about the postman and the dog, is my dog was barking one day at the postman. I was like, why does he hate him so much? And then I wrote that, and then just it came, I don't know, weird. It
is weird, and it baffles me that because you don't write a lot.
No.
You can hear something or maybe enjoy something, enjoy a poem that somebody's written, and just leave it at that and go, I enjoyed that and I appreciated it.
Hand?
Oh, sorry, yeah. I'm cutting you out of the fucking shot there. But you can appreciate it and just leave that for what it is. Do you know what I mean? You can go, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That was nice. Whereas I've got this tendency to fixate on things, to go, oh my God, I really enjoyed that. That was so good. And I wonder if they thought about this. I wonder if they thought about when that, and then it just turns into me hearing something and not using a single line from the thing that I've heard.
Yeah.
But going, oh, I've just written 6 pages worth of dialogue based on this thing. It's like, I can, if I haven't written something in a while, I can get quite agitated and become like, fuck, what's wrong with me? Why haven't I thought of any ideas? The worst thing I can possibly do is go, I need to write something. I need to write something now because it's not just come about. Do you know what I mean? But like I say, you've written the play.
Yeah.
How many pages is your play?
26.
And I can't, I love theatre. I really, really do. But I can't bring myself to write a play. I don't understand the way they work. I don't understand how I'm going to, like, the idea in my head. How will that work on the page? You know what I mean? How will it work on the stage? How will it look? But then I've written 4, I'd say, full length series.
Yeah.
Do you know what, as in like pilot scripts?
Yeah.
Maybe more. Just some that are really terrible that would never make it to something like this.
Yeah.
But then others that I'm really proud of. But sitting down and writing 30 pages and then the next day after I finished it going, right, episode 2, what's that going to be now? And doing another 30 pages that can take a month to write. Because when you're writing comedy, sometimes the jokes aren't natural. And you've seen some of my work that I've written and the jokes haven't been natural. And to be fair to Chris and all my other friends as well, that are sort of in my close circle that I would send stuff to, will go, that's not your best work, mate. Bit shit that. Or that joke didn't land. Yeah. That joke was too far. That joke doesn't work. That joke ruins it. And you need that because, like you say, when you get into that little rut of just going, I'm just going to start typing now, I'm just going to write things out. It all just comes out, good and bad. The analogy I used to use is that writing is like turning a tap on. And you might do it sometimes, like if a pipe's burst, you turn the tap on and the brown shitty water comes out, but you've got to leave it running till the clean stuff starts coming. And that's what it was for me with writing. When I started writing, I was bad at it. The stuff that I was writing was shit. And it just takes time for the good stuff to start coming, because because you learn how to script edit yourself and go, I'm going to take these bits out. And you've done it with the play so many times. The amount of times I've heard one scene of your play and you, like, the first time, and I go, mate, that's class. because I did enjoy it at the time.
Yeah.
And then you'll come back to me and go, I've changed it and I've written this, and I go, right, well, that's better.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out now for what he's doing. And then there'll be certain bits where I go, that line didn't land, mate. Maybe change it to this. Normally when I used to be driving, Chris would ring me and go, I need a line for this little bit, and I'd go, well, say that, and then you'd go, no, it doesn't matter, I've got it, and you'd put it in. Do you know what? But that's a really interesting, that's the process I love. Sometimes it's painstaking and it's long, and you feel like you're ruining your work because you enjoyed the first draft. But if it don't work, it doesn't work. Do you know what I mean?
You can learn how to kill your babies. So speaking of my play, I'm just going to read the opening excerpt of it. I don't know how long it's been since you heard this, but it might have changed. Who knows?
Who knows? I'll let you know.
This is the play. I've just bumped into someone who I haven't seen in such a long time. I mean, how weird is it? Meeting people you haven't seen in ages, and it's like you never knew each other. I met this girl in Magaluf. Now, you'd assume that that's the type of meet cute that you would want to forget, but not this one. I remember that whole time in my life like it was yesterday. Like the day we booked our flights to Magaluf. It was a grey and dismal afternoon in Belfast, so nothing out of the ordinary. But that didn't stop us from marching down to the travel agents like an organised mob ready to do some business. All 12 of the lads equipped with our envelopes full of cash, fresh from the ATM. Using our mother's cards, of course. My man was especially tight to part with her money for Magaluf. She didn't want me to go in the first place. Oh, James, nice son, do you not think you'd get a wee weekend down to the caravan? Only I just don't feel comfortable with you going to that Shagaloof. Shagaloof. That's what she said. See, she knew I was a horny wee bastard who just wanted a bit of the action. No flies on her. But that pissed me off. All my ma seemed to be doing was cock blocking me. Oh, but ma, all the lads are going. Don't you mind me, son? Oh, that place is just full of young hussies wearing skimpy bikinis during the day and nipple tassels and belts for skirts at night. Oh, no bloody shame. I thank God every day for 3 sons. The last thing I need is to become a granny at my age, James. I'm not even 50 yet. So you will not be impregnating anyone in Magaluf. I'm serious, James. Don't you be laughing. I'll be buying you a 12-pack of CONDOMs before you go. Better safe than sorry. 12 condoms she bought me for a 10-day holiday. Listen, Sandra, I'm good, but I'm not that fucking good. But she let me go. My 10 rosaries a day never misses the Angelus on RTE. Wee mummy let me go to Shagaloof. So the day came. Us gang of lady killers headed out to break hearts on the Isle of Mallorca, and we are raring to go. As we're having a few scoops in the airport bar, Tony, the smallest but loudest member of the gang, goes, "Here lads, honestly, right, my cousin's a barber and he told me how you do it. You just get something straight, no, like a credit card or something, and you just do a line across there with it, and that's it. Easy peasy, jumping easy. Well, do you want one or not?" So obviously 10 minutes later, when we all eventually emerge from the toilets, we all have fucking speed lines in our head. We look like absolute fucking smicks. Now, if you're unaware of what a smick is, it's like a Belfast chav. Now, throughout the world, there are chavs. It's part of society, but a smick. Now, a smick is the type of person who sits in a graveyard, head to toe in Carbrini tracksuits, bunking school, drinking 3 litres of white diamond and sniffing lines off the top of some poor bastard's gravestone. Oh, here, I stroked that off my man. Don't know what it is like, but if you crush it up, sniff it, and fight the urge to go to sleep, it'll be a proper powerful buzz, so it will. Bollocks. Serious? Kiss a bit? Now that is a smick. So we all board the flight like a gang of retrobates, 5 pints deep, singing Celtic songs at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I normally hate flying. When I was a kid, I watched that film Final Destination, you know, where the plane blows up. I was always convinced that was going to happen to me. But one of the lads whips out a litre bottle of Smirnoff that he got in duty free. Happy days, I need a drink. Send us that over. You can just imagine us, bunch of idiotic headers, trying to, in the most discreet way possible, past this bucket of vodka about an Aer Lingus Airbus like we are ninjas. As the lads ducked and dived and got the drink to me, I raised it to my lips and boom, the air hostess was straight on me. Bitch. Didn't even let me take a sip for fuck's sake. So there's me, shaking Stephen, shaking myself, thinking this is it. I'm on my way out. Brace-faced Becky behind McDonald's is going to be my only shag. St. Peter will tell me to do one, the pearly gates just for that. Ugh, Becky was a lovely girl. And her teeth were probably lovely and straight now. So we landed in Palm Airport and got the bus to the Magaluf Strip. And by God, did I underestimate the madness that I would see? My ma was wrong. There weren't any nipple tassels. These girls didn't even cover them up. There were more babs out than in a bloody bakery. I couldn't believe my eyes. There were naked people running about, fully grown men dressed up as the Smurfs and the Spice Girls, looking to finger anything with a pulse. Now, I'm no Casanova myself, but these stag do fellas' best chat-up line was, roses are red, violets are twisted. Bend over, love. You're about to get dirty bastards. They were absolute dirty bastards. See, when I was a kid, I had the more gentle approach of just staying away from any females in the vicinity. I never had the balls to say anything to any member of the opposite sex. Don't get me wrong. I noticed them. Thought I'd been in love a million times any time a girl looked at me. Just never had the confidence in myself to think that anyone would ever be interested in me. I mean, I'm just James. You won't give a fuck about little old me. Me old ma. She never really made me feel important, to be honest. When she's introducing me, she'd go, sorry, James. Our little accident, aren't you, love? That's what she actually used to say to people. She loved me, really, but obviously a ma's love for her son is very different to that I felt for her. The type of love that is shared between two people. That of complete and utter safety, loyalty and admiration. When you want to run to the nearest rooftop and scream, I fucking love you, you'd run 1,000,000 miles, jump through hoops just to get a glimpse of that breathtaking smile. I mean, that was the type of shit you'd see in movies and hear about in songs, but is that real life? Surely not. Well, at least definitely not to James Lynch.
How's it end? No, mate, I fucking love it. It's changed. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's changed so much from the last time I heard it. Mm-hmm. A lot's changed. There's little bits that I remembered that you've read on the phone to me and stuff, or you know, you've decided you want to change, or this, that, and the other. But I think it's in top condition, mate. I think it's very funny. Talk to us a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's a madness, right? This play, I started writing this play 2018, wasn't it? Yeah. Wrote, I'd say, the first 4 or 5 scenes, which are like little stories in one big story.
And performed them in our kitchen.
I did. That's right. And then just left it. I think because it's very true to life. Like what I'm telling here is a true story. So it's like, I felt like where I was emotionally at that time, I was kind of happy to just leave it and then come back to it when I was more ready to tell that story. Yeah. And then at the start of lockdown there last year, I got the opportunity to join like a Zoom writing workshop. So every week we would come with stuff that we've written and read it for 10 people on Zoom, and they would give you constructive criticism and whatever. But
I'll just add, that was absolutely something that was not a you thing to do. Like when you said to me, I'm going to join a writing workshop, and in our friendship group of actors and stuff, I'm the writer.
Yeah,
and my biggest thing was not that Chris is going off to do this and oh my god, Chris is going to smash it. My first thought was, you fucking bastard. The amount of times I've gone, Chris, I've got a script here and it's a comedy and I think me and you should write it together, and Chris has gone, oh sure, I'm not a writer, and I'm like, listen mate, I feel like we could talk it out. You haven't got to do any of the writing, we just bounce some ideas off each other, and you've gone, nah, don't see how it'd work. And then rings me and he's like, you'll never guess what I've done. And I wouldn't have guessed, you're right, I've just joined a writing workshop. I'm like, well, who with? And then you explained the story. And
yeah, it's a madness. It still is. It's interesting. I find it very fascinating because I'm not a writer right away. Like that's not me really. So telling this story and the way in which I'm telling it has been massively therapeutic, and I've separated myself from the story. I look at it now in each scene, I'm like, fuck, what happened in that scene's mad. When it's like, what happened in your life was mad, Chris. It's the same.
How wanky does that sound though? And we all do it, but it's that you sort of going, in this scene, this happens, and you're like, no, in your life that thing happened. But would you say that's why, do you think that was the only way you were going to get into writing, was through writing a true story first? Because I do it. If I'm writing, I enjoy fucking embellishing stories, and like I've got a terrible tendency to romanticize my own life, let alone the stuff that I write. It's tenfold when I write it into scripts and stuff like that. And I'm not brave enough to do what you've done. I'll take a story maybe that's happened and twist it and turn it and go, all right, Sam, we'll do this. You've changed very minor details within the script as to what happened in your own life. And I think that's fucking, but it shows, because when you perform it, and I've seen you read bits to me, and as the play goes on, it is fucking brilliant. The whole play is fantastic. And I'm really glad that it's the first thing you've written and it's doing things. I won't go into it too much, but it's happening, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Hopefully.
COVID aside, but it's regardless.
Eventually, I will put it on.
Yes, exactly. Eventually, this is going to be a thing, which I've never even come close to it. But the fact that you're going to do it and it's a true story. So I'll like I said, the thing that I'm about to read next is just a story that I come up with. It comes from a personal place, but it's not what you've done. Do you think it was important for you that the first thing that you wrote was going to be? It's going to be true life, and it's because I can tell upon hearing you read it. That's what I was going to say before, and I fucking went off on a tangent. Is that you feel it very much so when even the characters you're playing, who you've created, but they've come from somewhere. And I think everything you're doing and everything you're reading, you're fucking feeling it, and I think that's important because it makes the performance better. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
It's very strange for me because when talking to people about this play, we talk about it as a play and not as lived life experience.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to be like, it's very easy for me to visualize this world because it was my world for however many years it was. So telling this story the way in which I do, it comes from like when I was younger, before I went to drama school, I was working as a stage manager for a theatre company that a lot of the time would do one person plays.
Yeah.
And I was fascinated by that format of theatre because it's one person playing a couple of parts and telling a story with just one person. It's different from stand-up in that you're not yourself. And it's not like you can, like, it's a story that I'm telling in a theatrical sense. It's not... Do you know what I mean?
You've taken your story and you've upped it, you've amped it up and gone, this is what happened when... Because I think the actual story behind that is quite intricate, it's very personal, and the audience still feels that. One thing that when we spoke about you writing it, one thing I constantly said is, you've always got to be nice in it because your audience has got to... If you're taking them on this journey, you're like, and this sounds so wanky, I hate myself saying these things, but your audience has got to trust you, your audience has got to... believe that what you're telling them is genuine.
They need to have a reason to come on this journey with me.
Yes, and they want the best for you, and I think that's what's good about the script, because all the way through the audience wants what's best for him, and they think, and this isn't giving anything away, but they think they want something, and like it's got so many twists and turns, and you're just like, fuck me, like. And the ending, I remember speaking to you on the phone, and me and you discussed multiple endings for this of how it could end. And I think the one that you chose and the one that
the real one, like that's
the
what's so strange. Like what I've said to a lot of people is like, fact a lot of the time is stranger than fiction. Life is stranger than fiction. Like what this play is about, like you could never even just think of those things.
You would say you can't write it. Do you know what I mean?
But it happens. Do you know what I mean? And it's mad. Like a lot of it is like, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. Well,
I was just going to say, which is something you always say to me. You will say, "Oh my God, why don't you write that?" And I go, because I wouldn't want to put this in, or I wouldn't want to do this or do that. And you say, "Well, don't let truth get in the way of a good story. It's a good story, all in all. Don't let the ifs, whats, buts, and maybes get in the way of fucking doing something really good." Yeah, so the thing that I'm about to read, it's a little bit shorter. It's only 2 pages long because it's part of a 30-page script with other characters and stuff. So I just picked a nice scene that'd be good for me and Chris to read. Just as a bit of backstory before I start, you can see Chris and you can't see me. This is the best way to describe it, isn't it? Okay. You're drunk again, it's not even 3 p.m. Can't understand a word you say, you're throwing your life away. I hate who you have become, I think that you might be done. Open up your eager eyes, 'cause you're gonna die soon. Who's that?
I don't know, I'll just go.
Whoa, what are you doing? Fucking hell.
I'm going to see who's at the door.
Are you daft? Could be a bloody psychopath, mate. Could be anybody. That's an aggressive knock, that.
It'll just be Jane asking if we've seen the cat.
I don't know, mate. I don't like it. What if it's the bailiffs?
Well, why would the bailiffs be knocking?
Unpaid council tax. They'll come and take your laptop.
Shit.
Yeah. Shit.
Shit. What are we going to do?
What if it's Jimmy looking for his weed money?
I'll just leave it.
You're going to have to go and get him, mate. What if he breaks in and kills us?
Me? Kills me? You're not even real.
There's no show without punch, mate. Fucking hell.
Fuck.
And that's the end of it. You were going to carry on then. We could have done the whole fucking thing on no script. That'd have been brilliant. Yeah, so in a nutshell, that is from a script that I've written called Meet Jack. And essentially what it is, I came up with the idea when I was talking to the likes of Chris and my friends and my family and stuff about my mental health. I struggle with my anxiety a lot and like bouts of OCD and different stuff like that. And I sort of, I can't remember what, I was talking to you the other day about it and I said that was, Jojo Rabbit, watching Jojo Rabbit, and how, if you haven't seen it, brilliant film. And how there's sort of somebody who lives in somebody else's head who we can see but nobody else can. And I thought that's a really interesting concept because with anxiety and stuff, you can deal with intrusive thoughts. I can't walk across a bridge with keys in my hand without going, fucking throw them in that water now. Go on, there, throw them in the water. And you're never going to do it. You're never going to do it. Or like standing on a balcony and being like, I wonder if that'd hurt. And you're like, but you fuck off. Like there's always something there constantly niggling. Do you know what I mean? And it's not necessarily cause for concern. It's not something I worry about, but it's something that I've put a lot of thought into. And then I sent you TikToks quite a while after I'd written this of different people who were doing like the Meverse brain and stuff like that. But that was quite nice. It made me go, oh fuck, loads of people go through this. I kind of knew that anyway, but like with mental health, you can sometimes feel quite excluded and like you're on your own. And I thought that it was a nice feeling when I seen that people were going through it. So an even better thing would be to write a script on it and be able to try and put it on TV, which is what I always try and do with anything I write, is I'll try and get it out there or get people to like it. It's still a work in progress. I haven't done anything on it in a while, but we've got a few good episodes that are brilliant. And me and you have spoke plenty of times before about really good ideas for other episodes. Stuff that I'd quite like to write with you.
Okay.
But what was that little spurt for you?
Yes.
You bastard.
Not a writer.
It's on camera now. But yeah, and I don't know. Do you like it? You've read the whole script. So.
I do really like it. It's one of those interesting things. I don't like. I say I don't really have these intrusive thoughts, but like I've worked with people and like there'd be like a like in a bar and there'd be a bucket full of broken glass because that's where you put the broken glass, and like there'd be a girl walking past, she'd be like, "Fuck, I'd love to put my hand in that glass." I'm like, why? She's like, I don't know. Sometimes when I'm driving, I see a wee old lady. I just want to go. Yeah,
like something. It's like, I mean, someone said there's a brilliant scene in this earlier on where they're sat in the car, and he's like, "Did you know?" It's the start of the first scene actually, and you helped me with that one. And Jack 2 says, "Imagine if you just swerved and killed that woman and her kid now, but imagine if you just killed the mum." A little orphan, the sun'll come out tomorrow, bet you bottom dollar. And he starts singing that, and then it cuts to another scene, and they're still driving, and he's pulling into the car park, and he's singing another song, and he's saying, "Consider yourself." And they do it, and he's starting singing all these songs about orphans, and he realises where they are, and there's a brilliant bits in it with the psychiatrist who I've written in it, and the psychiatrist Sarah is based on our friend Sarah, who's a lovely girl, and
she's not a psychiatrist.
She's not a psychiatrist, she's an actor, but she would be fantastic at this. I'm thinking if people tend to like that, we should do a reading of it. I'd really love to get Meet Jack read out and sort of get people's opinions on it. I think that's just me being a needy writer because it's quite a personal thing. I think I want to first of all see how it sounds when it's read out by people who it's designed for. Get Connor in and Alicia and Sarah and stuff like that. But then also to see what people think of it. I've sent it out. It's been to production companies and producers. There's a brilliant, a lovely guy at BBC Wales who reads a lot of my script, which fucking people do it with me. To be fair, I don't mind with you because it's a two-way street. I send you stuff, but before now, if people have got in touch on Twitter and stuff, and they'll be like, "Hi, I've written a script," and I love doing it. I'm not saying I'm going to steal anything from it,
Yeah.
but I love doing it. And sometimes, like if you get given like a 60-page play, I'm like, you're going to have to give me a week to get through this. So I
Yeah,
can't imagine
of
what
course.
he's like when every couple of months I'm like, hey mate, I've written this, do you want to have a read of it?
It's a
But
fair
that is
fuck's time for
he's
reading
paid
it,
a lot
like-
of money to do it at the same time. But mine's unsolicited, he hasn't got to do it, he's just being a nice fella.
Yeah.
But he had a read of it and was like, oh, maybe it's not something we're going for. So it's a fucking work in progress.
I mean,
It's-
100%, but that's all you really can do is just keep writing, keep working on it, and you don't know when your diamond's going to come, and then...
No, and it might
it'll
be, like
just-
you said before, sometimes you've got to learn to kill your babies. It might be one of them things. I feel like it'd work on stage, but I don't know how to adapt it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to...
But like you said, it's a work in progress, and we're always learning, and that's what... Every day's a school day, bro. So we'll see what happens.
We're wrapping this up.
Yeah.
Okay, Sam.
This has been really good. If you enjoyed it, let us know.
Yeah, and if you haven't enjoyed it, let us know. If you thought
Yeah.
it could be better, if you think we've rambled too much or you want these to be better, give us a shout. This was just an idea we had.
And do you know what's
We were bored.
interesting? Right, after doing this, I kind of want to write more so that I have more to read and give you
But
to
we
read.
talked about if people like it and if we get good feedback about it or pointers on it and stuff, we'd love to read other people's work as well. If people like me and Chris, we're doing this because we've never heard our work be read out. If there was people who got in touch and said, listen, I'd love you to read this.
I'd
I've
love to
written it.
hear my speech in a Belfast accent. I'm your man.
Yeah, and if you'd like to hear it in multiple accents, then I'm your man because I can't keep to my own. Yeah, I think that's us, isn't
Yeah.
it? All right, thanks guys.
Thanks.
See you soon.
Bye.